His Grace Subuddhi Krishna Prabhu and His Grace Bhadra Govinda Prabhu with us today. We'll be hearing about the Bhakti-vriksha preaching and the achievements that they have had, the experience that they had all their life. So let's hear from them. So Prabhuji, first of all, I would like to ask you about your material life achievements, like what have you been doing and what is your profile in the material world. Subuddhi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Well, I am a mechanical engineering graduate, and before that I did my science graduation. So I am a BSc BE as they call it. Of course, this was way back. I did my BE in 1970, and then I worked in Bombay for about 12 years in a glass company. I started as a utility engineer, but then for a period of time I switched to marketing, and I worked as the sales manager of that company. They're making glass bottles. And then in 1980 I decided to be on my own, and then moved to Bangalore. So in 1980 I decided that I should be on my own, and we moved to Bangalore, and I started my industry, small scale industry, in the industrial estate in Bangalore called Peenya. And of course it was a great struggle at that time because there was a recession going on in the country. And then somehow we struggled and kept going, and we started supplying some components to TVS Group. I was supplying to Bajaj Auto and Telco, but then the focus changed to TVS Group. They were making motorcycles. So that we did for almost 23 years. But in the process, before that, of course, I was also Rotary President, Secretary, Treasurer. And I was Secretary, Treasurer and President of a large industrial association having almost 3,000 industries as members. But then, slowly I developed my interest in Krishna consciousness. And all these things became secondary, and then I was the exceptional president, because generally when the next president comes, every year they change the president. So there is a ceremony called, handing over the mallet to the next president. But I was so fed up with this material hypocrisy, then I did not even go for that next president's installation. I sent that mallet through somebody, and I said, I'm not interested. And of course, even when I was running my industry, most of the time was spent in ISKCON Bangalore temple, taking up some service or the other. So that's my material life.
Wonderful. So you have been a perfect manager, team leader all your life. So that's interesting. So that makes it a little easier to manage groups. Well, all right, let's ask His Grace Bhadra Govinda Prabhu, what about his material achievements?
Hare Krishna. I am Instrumentation Technology Engineering graduate from Mysore University in the year 1988. That time also the recession cycle repeated, I think, so it was a struggle to find jobs, but somehow by Krishna's mercy I got a job while I was in college itself. And from then until today I never submitted any resume for any job. I was always headhunted. I worked in Bangalore, then I worked in Delhi for a couple of years, came back to Bangalore. Then I was in Singapore for almost 16 years. I worked there in a printed circuit boards plant, multi-layer board, professional grade printed circuit boards plant, in the capacity of production manager, quality manager, sales and marketing, all the areas of manufacturing industry. Then I thought my time is not flexible to do my preaching activities for ISKCON. So I resigned my job and went into self-employment kind of thing. So I became a personal wealth manager with insurance giant, American International Assurance Company in Singapore. So I was there for about 4 years. Now I left Singapore and relocated to India. I'm based in ISKCON Vijayawada. I'm just trying to start this Bhakti-vriksha programs all over again in that area.
So how long have you been associated with Bhakti-vriksha? That's my first question.
Well, I'm one of the pioneers of Bhakti-vriksha. When the Bhakti-vriksha concept started, so I belong to the very first batch of the facilitators or servants, the leader servants. We call it Dasa. This was 1995, and His Holiness Jayapataaka Maharaj, he inaugurated the Bhakti-vriksha movement in Bangalore, and I was the fortunate one to be one of the first ones to get trained by himself, like he himself trained us, and that's how it started. So I'm there since 1995.
Wonderful. And how about you, Prabhuji?
I am also, along with Subuddhi Krishna Prabhu, was trained by His Holiness Jayapataaka Swami. The only difference was he was the trainer, he was trained as a trainer, and I was trained as a trainee. We both attended the sessions conducted by Guru Maharaj. So I was a member of the first Bhakti-vriksha called Lakshmi Narasimha Bhakti-vriksha.
Wonderful. Well, how long have you been involved in developing your group in the community?
In this multiplication of the Bhakti-vriksha, again, somehow, I was fortunate that our group was the first one in the whole world to be split into two. We expanded so fast that we started with something like 10 members or 12 members, but within a couple of months, few months, it grew to 35, and then we decided that it should be split. And of course, that was being the first split. It was a very painful split because nobody wanted to leave. Our Bhakti-vriksha was very, very vibrant. All my members at that time are leaders now, somewhere or the whole. They're all spread all over the world, different parts. So, since that time we just split, and of course then 1998 I moved to America as the temple president of Arizona, Phoenix temple. And there again, moment I landed there and settled down a little, we started Bhakti-vrikshas. And again Guru Maharaj was there, when the very first Shiksha program at that time, we had Guru Maharaj to give certificates. And then, of course, I came back to India, and then we were having Bhakti-vrikshas in Nelamangala, where we were staying. And new experiment was that, I was conducting it in Kannada, although I did not know Kannada that well, but then the local people did not understand English so well. So then I ventured into Kannada Bhakti-vriksha, and that was really good too. And then again I came back to America, 2003. Then I was Chicago, and there, because I had I just gone for preaching only, so I was conducting something like 4 Bhakti-vrikshas in a week, every day almost. Because Sunday was temple program, so Sunday I was not doing it, and then with the inspiration of Guru Maharaj, we expanded, and then I inspired others also to start Bhakti-vrikshas, and they made me the coordinator for all Bhakti-vrikshas in Chicago. And at that time, I was handling about 14 Bhakti-vrikshas in Chicago, which is much tougher than having Bhakti-vrikshas in Bangalore. And so it's very big city, all spread out, and different people, different skills and groups and languages and all that. So yeah, that. And then of course I moved to Greensboro. There we were doing just 1 or 2 only because very small group there. And now since last 3 years I am the temple president of Tallahassee, and we have only maybe one group there because it's again a struggle, with the 2 groups I would say, one students and one family oriented. So throughout I have been involved in Bhakti-vrikshas.
So can you please describe how the relationships between the devotees are in your group?
In our Bhakti-vriksha groups, we were having this very loving relationships among all the members. That dadati patigrahnati guhyamakyati prakshati bhunte bhojete shadvi priti lakshanam. So this priti lakshanam was very much a part of our Bhakti-vriksha program. There was always exchange of gifts, there was always exchange of prasadam and revealing each other's minds. It was more like a family than a Bhakti-vriksha, we can say. It was very informal kind of dealings, and so much so that if anybody is having any problem in the Bhakti-vriksha, everybody used to fall behind and support the people. Somebody did not have a job, we could maintain them for a couple of months. The software engineers sitting on the bench, they don't have to go back to their country, back to India. So we maintained them for 2 months until they found another job. These are some of the examples. Somebody is sick in the hospital, so we used to provide prasadam and also service. We used to share services. Imagine there were no full-time devotees, everybody was working individuals. So they used to go in shifts to the hospital and stay with the patient for, say, he's admitted for 3 or 4 days. So they stay, they bring prasadam and also give assistance in the hospital in shifts. So these kind of practical, wonderful, loving relationships we had. And we used to celebrate all birthdays of all the children. And then especially in Narasimha Chaturdashi, we converted into Children's Day because Prahlad Maharaj devotee is only 5 years. And Narasimha Dev was so loving to Prahlad Maharaj. So we declared it as a Children's Day. So all the children of all the Bhakti-vriksha members below 12 years used to get very special gifts from Lord Narasimha.
Subuddhi Prabhu, I think you must, I'm sure rather, you must be having a very similar experience like Bhadra Govinda Prabhu. And so I would like to ask you, what is the secret of the development of harmony within the members?
Just 2 words, love and trust. It starts with developing loving relationships, as he mentioned. And I mean, as a facilitator, our job is to really make it happen. So a lot of fun. The whole atmosphere in the Bhakti-vriksha should be of fun. Serious discussion, but with a lot of fun. And that we found that, I remember in our Bhakti-vriksha when we started, even during discussions, there was so much enthusiasm. But the real challenge is to maintain that, to sustain that enthusiasm. And that can happen by only these exchanges outside the Bhakti-vriksha. Bhakti-vriksha happens for about 2 hours, But then when we go away during the week, what happens? That's most important. And that's where, we made sure that we call each other, visit each other and things like that. And of course, age-wise also, I was like a fatherly figure for everybody. So it was very easy for me. But even otherwise, it can be done with a lot of attention. That very personal attention is required and monitoring, in the sense, if you see that something is going wrong between 2 individuals, try to resolve it as fast, don't allow it to linger. So we used to tell all the members always that, please be open-hearted. If you have any problem, just go to the same person and get it sorted once for all. And that works, that really works. And once that initial barriers are broken, then all our members, we started in 95, they're still close friends. So that's the secret.
Wonderful. So what do you consider are the special achievements of your group or groups on account of Bhakti-vriksha preaching in the community as compared to other preaching methods?
As I said, the other preaching methods are also there, as you are, of course, you are asking about that. But Bhakti-vriksha is, the relation building here is one of the best. And our whole premises of our movement are personal, personal worship, personal, we are all Supreme Personality of Godhead when we say, we start developing relation here and then we start developing relation with Krishna. And that makes it go on and on and on. That's my experience, that once we have these relationships on a very strong foundation, nobody can shake it. And once you're there, then you inspire each other. Like you are asking, what are the achievements of the members, or where are they? So I would say, I'm really proud that each of my initial member is today Bhakti-vriksha leader somewhere in the world. Like there are different parts of the world. They started there and they have outgrown us also many places, and which is a matter of pride.
Certainly. So, Prabhuji, I would like to ask you, what is the mood of the leadership in Bhakti-vriksha?
It is loving and caring all the Bhakti-vriksha members. That means you put your personal matters aside, your personal comforts aside. You go beyond the comfort zone to serve the members of the Bhakti-vriksha in a very loving and caring manner. And as Subuddhi Krishna Prabhu was telling, Bhakti-vriksha is the difference between Bhakti-vriksha and other preaching methods is Bhakti-vriksha creates leaders compared to other preaching methods. Because in the whole Bhakti-vriksha, it is designed in such a way that we want everybody to become another preacher. So we are creating preachers not than just passive devotees.
What is your opinion about the leadership mood in Bhakti-vriksha? How can you define it in, say, few words?
The main role, as I see, of the leader is that everybody progresses. When we started this Bhakti-vrikshas, and the very first sentence, which is still today with me, which really helped me, was that the whole structure is like, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj explained that you are like a middle of a sandwich, always. So he says you are always, he says, train someone while being trained by someone. So you are trained by someone and then you train someone. So this, and then that ladder, you start with the just newcomer guest and then slowly grow. And then ultimately take the role of a Dasanudasa, and then ultimately Dasa, and then of course there is I'm not talking about the next steps, circle and mandala and all that. I'm just talking about the Bhakti-vriksha leaders right now. So yeah, that's the role. You ensure that everybody grows, because as I said in the beginning, that the real challenge is sustaining and growing. Sometimes growth is also there, but if it's not sustained, then it just, dwindles. And we have seen many Bhakti-vrikshas just fading away because of the lack of this vision.
So we have seen at many places, people are sometimes reluctant to take up Bhakti-vriksha preaching, and they see a lot of cons rather than the pros. So what do you suggest? What is your opinion? How do you think we can convince others to take up Bhakti-vriksha preaching?
Bhakti-vriksha has some very fundamental advantages over other type of preaching. I like for example, it's cost effective, like there's no cost involved. We just go take turns, go to one house to other, and just prasadam, simple prasadam, and so that's first thing. It's very effective in the sense we have seen that so many devotees are now progressing in their Krishna conscious life when they started from a Bhakti-vriksha point of view. And then it is interactive, let's say Namahata versus Bhakti-vriksha. There you listen and then question answer maybe. But here, the moment discussion starts, and we have seen devotees flourishing, Initially there is slight reluctance to participate, but then when they see that everybody is on the same platform, same level, for example, even when we sit at the same level. So there is no differentiation between anything, and that's what people appreciate. And then the whole structure of Bhakti-vriksha, like there's all elements, icebreaker, kirtan, japa, all doing as a team. So team building, Bhakti-vriksha number one, cost effectiveness and relationship building, that those relationships last for life. So I would strongly recommend Bhakti-vriksha over any other method.
What is your opinion, Prabhuji? How to convince others?
Srila Prabhupada said, Phalena parichayate. You judge by the results. So if you see the number of devotees in ISKCON today and you take a survey, how many of them became a devotee through what channels? I think my rough estimate is 8 out of 10 ISKCON members today are products of Bhakti-vriksha. You can take a survey. I won't be too far away from that. Some book distribution, somebody became a devotee. The number of books that went out, and out of which how many become devotee, the effort and the result, if you compare, it is not so much matching. But the effort put into Bhakti-vriksha, almost like if 10 people attend, 9 out of 10 will become devotee. Hardly 1 out of 10 is a dropout in a Bhakti-vriksha, that he is not interested and he will go away or something if properly conducted. So these results themselves we can show to people and say this is the most profitable venture for ISKCON preaching, and this is the future of ISKCON. Other than Bhakti-vriksha, there is no other program which is as effective, as cost effective and as quality effective. And the Bhakti-vriksha, if you see the devotees, they are no way inferior to any other program devotees. Like somebody is a full-time temple devotee, somebody is a congregation devotee. And we say, Jayapataka Swami Maharaj always says, there is only one definition of a devotee. There is no congregation devotee, temple devotee, or we should not discriminate like that. So the answer should not be confused that I am telling that Bhakti-vriksha devotee is different from other devotees or something like that. Just to answer your question, I am telling that the products of Bhakti-vriksha are highly cost-effective devotee produced and highly quality devotees, no way inferior to any other program devotees.
Very well said. In fact, what I generally say is the input versus output ratio is the highest in Bhakti-vriksha. That's what you mean to say, right?
Exactly.
Great. So, all right. Now, sometimes people say that this belongs to a particular group. So, is Bhakti-vriksha an idea of a particular group, or is it in compliance with the methodology designed by our past acharyas?
Yeah, I think Bhakti-vriksha, sometimes there is a misunderstanding that Bhakti-vriksha belongs to some particular group or some particular person or something like that. I don't see that at all. When it's just, for example, who's the initiator of this Bhakti-vrikshas? This is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's time. He thought of this first, and then now somebody adopted it, and now it's available for everybody, and everybody is taking advantage. I have seen people who are reluctant also are just slowly, falling into the Bhakti-vrikshas, and they are finding it that sometime I discuss with them and they say, oh, why did not we do it earlier? It's so nice. So some you can say apprehensions which are there in the mind of some people are not true, because by experience we have proven and we have seen that there is no such thing that it belongs to this group or that group. It is universal and it should be embraced with open arms because of the results. Nobody is going to be, it's like we say win-win situation for everybody involved.
Great to know this. So please let us know, how long does it take for a member to start chanting Mahamantra after joining a Bhakti-vriksha group? That's our target, you see.
Bhakti-vriksha is so well designed that this japa session is a part of the Bhakti-vriksha. So on day one, anybody attends Bhakti-vriksha, they start chanting. Not only that, we discuss week by week about the holy name and the benefits of chanting. So there are so many wonderful results we see, that there are many examples that people come up to 16 malas in less than 3 to 4 months. I myself am a product of Bhakti-vriksha under the tutelage of His Grace Subuddhi Krishna Prabhu in Lakshmi Narasimha Bhakti-vriksha at Bangalore. I came up to 16 malas in about 3 months. From first mala to 16 malas, within 3 months I was already chanting 16 malas. So this is the answer to your question, is from day one everybody gets the opportunity to chant and they continue chanting.
That's amazing. So please tell us, how fast do the members adapt to our culture while undergoing Bhakti-vriksha training?
Well, first of all, any adoption is an individual's choice, in the sense some take a little longer, but generally I am talking now of an average, because what happens, this 2-hour session and before and after that, talking to the members and interacting with them, and as I said, we build up this relationship. And when the members see that others are looking happy in this culture, and especially when we have this, for example, we have this, we call it RDUA application. The last A is called application. Application is where we share our realizations, what we learned from today's discussion or what happened in our life in the last week, And I have seen when devotees start sharing these experiences and realizations, the others get so inspired that the very next class or next time they will say, we also started like that, and I also given up this, I have taken up that, like the do's and don'ts and the whole system, they become inquisitive, they start asking questions, how to put tilak and how many times, and arati, how to do puja, the whole Krishna consciousness package, they adopt, I would say, within weeks, definitely not years. Whereas there are, before we started Bhakti-vriksha, we are doing other things, and we were struggling to, because there is no touch with that devotee, once he's gone, like he will come sometime, maybe he may not come. But here, the regular interval and structural thing is so nice and so inspirational for everyone. It's like Prabhupada gave an example one time that game of kabaddi. There may be one weak person, but because there are 3 strong persons, he also feels strong, when you're catching the opponent coming. So same way, the devotees feel very strong in association. If the moment they are saying we are lacking something and should I do it or not do it, but the moment they discuss or when they observe others, they become really, really fired up very fast.
So what is your experience, Prabhuji, about this?
See, the Bhakti-vriksha is so sweet. All the inhibitions are removed from day one. So devotees don't think that, the other devotees are some aliens coming from some other Mars or moon planet. They are also from different walks of life, like themselves, like engineers, doctors, lawyers, and common man coming into the group. So they are very comfortable. So they adapt to our ISKCON lifestyle and the devotee lifestyle. From the very beginning, within few weeks, or within few months. It doesn't take a year for them to adapt. In fact, like wearing a sari or a dhoti, most of the Bhakti-vriksha members are into it before 6 months, before 1 year. And we have seen examples where we are also involved in, say, temple preaching. People who don't attend Bhakti-vrikshas, the members are coming to the temple last 15 years and attending ISKCON programs. Week after week, they attend either a Bhagavad Gita class or a Bhagavatam class. But they are unable to give up a simple thing like coffee or tea even after 15 years of attending ISKCON programs. These examples are there. Whereas in Bhakti-vriksha, anybody who comes into the fold, they are, like Prabhuji said, they are uplifted by the entire group of devotees, that they feel if he can, so I can. And it is a very closed gathering. They get a lot of strength, and so they get into the lifestyle within months.
Really amazing. That's pretty fast. So now one important question. How fast do the devotees progress in Bhakti-vriksha?
It's unbelievable. I always thought that, the way we became devotees before Bhakti-vriksha was introduced, so that was the process. But when Bhakti-vriksha started, we started seeing the result that the progress is so fast. Because of, as I mentioned earlier, because of the peer pressure, the group members, they make sure that you are with them along the, and then, like, cream on the milk, Shiksha program came to the rescue of everybody. And this is like another, Bhakti-vriksha is a structured program, and then the Shiksha program comes as another structured program. Start with Shraddhavan, Krishna Seva, Krishna Sadhak, Prabhupada Ashraya, then Guru Ashraya. So the whole thing, general experience takes about 2 years. From a day he starts the first day of Bhakti-vriksha till he gets initiated. And not, of course, everybody wants to get initiated, but this is the process. And then there are exceptions, like Prabhuji sitting next to me. I mean, he was in our Bhakti-vriksha like a super speed person. He started chanting 16 rounds, I think, very second month, and gave up everything. I still remember the day after I think we had somehow, very first few weeks we were discussing about vegetarianism and so on. And this Prabhu, before coming into Krishna consciousness, was like a normal person. Now, of course, we say the other way around, that people say that they are normal and we are not normal. But for a devotee, we know. So anyway, he comes one day to the Bhakti-vriksha, I think very third or fourth week. And is very enthusiastic anyway, always, even now. So he comes and says, Haribol, I had my last chicken yesterday. and then everybody was like, what? And he says, you know what, I decided, Prabhuji, because all this Bhakti-vriksha we are discussing, I got so convinced that I decided I must stop. Before that, in his family, they were almost having it every day. So he goes to one of the best shops in best shops for this kind of stuff.
No,
KFC.
The first KFC came in Bangalore.
Okay. So he goes there and he looks at the menu and says, bring me the best, the biggest and the most expensive, etc. And he says, they brought the...
Not only that, I went thinking that this is KFC has come first time and it was sensational, it was all over the newspapers.
Okay.
So I wanted to try before I became a Prasadam-tarian.
See, that's why I say enthusiasm. So, now let me take over. So he says, he put the first piece in his mouth and he says, tasted like mud. The best preparation, and it tasted like mud because he's already started tasting prasadam and the association and the whole atmosphere. And it became so easy for him. Otherwise we see people struggling, giving up smoking. There are big clubs, doctors and this and that, giving up tea, giving up anything. And here is the case. So what faster progress you can see in any other program? So again, if you want to have a fast progress, you want to have an assured progress, go for Bhakti-vriksha.
Great to know. Wonderful experience. What are the scopes for a devotee who has completed Bhakti-vriksha?
Oh, there's an unlimited scope. He's a fantastic resource for starting more Bhakti-vrikshas, bringing in more devotees. He can become a preacher himself. We have seen some devotees getting inspired and joining the temples and increasing the temple services. And he can be an inspiration for so many in the society when they see him behave differently than others, in a positive way, of course. So the scope is unlimited, like for example, some temple were thinking or even now thinking, maybe, I don't know, that Bhakti-vriksha is a competition or something like for the temple program, but it is the other way around, I was myself a temple president and also a Bhakti-vriksha leader simultaneously, and then, over a period of time, everybody could see that there is no competition. It's the temples get a quality service from the Bhakti-vriksha members because they are trained. And also, sometimes I have seen the whole Bhakti-vriksha serving, like in Chicago, every Sunday, all the services were divided into Bhakti-vrikshas and they were rotating, somebody is cutting sabji, somebody is serving and things like that. And the temple president, who had little apprehension, he became so happy because all his worries of Sunday program over, because the whole Bhakti-vriksha takes over the services and spreading and book distribution. You name it and they can do it. So I think this is one thing we must consider, that Bhakti-vriksha is for everybody and is going to help everybody.
What about you, Prabhuji? What is your experience?
Subuddhi Prabhu has said almost everything. I just want to add. Bhakti-vriksha, unlike other programs, each devotee is very flexible. He is not like, somebody who is a pujari. He is not able to do, like at least emotionally or psychologically, he is not prepared to do any other job. Or a book distributor, he is not flexible. He can only do book distribution but not a pujari work. Whereas a Bhakti-vriksha output, a devotee of Bhakti-vriksha background, he is psychologically and emotionally prepared. By the end of the 64 weeks, he is willing to do any service given and at any opportunity. He is willing to assist in the pujari room, he is willing to assist in cooking, he is willing to assist in temple cleaning, he is willing to assist in book distribution, he is willing to help the temple president in accounts keeping, and they are very well prepared to do any service. Like Prabhupada said, a devotee should be expert and he should be willing to do whatever is necessary to be done. A Bhakti-vriksha devotee in that way is most flexible, and it is very good for the health of ISKCON. And most of our temple presidents will be very happy to have Bhakti-vriksha members coming and serving in the temple or even joining full time. And that also they are not against. They don't have a psychology, I will forever stay outside, I will not join the temple. There are so many examples of Bhakti-vriksha outputs. They have joined the temples and serving full time as temple presidents, vice presidents, commanders. There are a number of examples. They have gone to new places, new avenues, opened up temples, and also simultaneously, like Subuddhi Prabhu was a temple president as well as a Bhakti-vriksha servant leader, like this.
Right, so you mean to say that the product of Bhakti-vriksha, a member of Bhakti-vriksha, is a multitasking personality. That's wonderful to know.
Yes, Prabhu, you are right.
That's great. So, are there any limitations in terms of gender or age or material qualification or social status or anything of the member of a Bhakti-vriksha?
I don't see any limitation. I never come across. Of course, one can say that there are sometimes the Bhakti-vriksha groups are formed. There are two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous. In the sense, let's say all engineers, they make a Bhakti-vriksha, all retired people, they make a Bhakti-vriksha group. So there, maybe we can say, yes, a child cannot join that group. But most of the Bhakti-vrikshas we see are family oriented. And a family, the grandfather is also there, grandson is also there. And they are all together, and nobody, and we never discuss your material qualifications or backgrounds and things like that. Outside the Bhakti-vriksha, maybe we talking, but generally within Bhakti-vriksha, structure is such that there is no scope for these limitations. There is absolutely no limitation whatsoever.
Right. So that's wonderful to know. What is your opinion about the structure of Bhakti-vriksha in terms of hierarchy?
It's an excellent structure, well time tested, well designed, and none other than Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So, and in practical thing also we see that there is a upward movement of everybody and downward movement of the whole system, hierarchy, like the knowledge and everything just flows down. And also it makes you look beyond your own Bhakti-vriksha, because there is a bigger picture. As we go, then you interact with the other Bhakti-vriksha once in a while, and then you meet together, the mandala and so on, So I personally feel that everybody is comfortable with this. I have never come across anybody complaining against the Bhakti-vriksha structure as such, the hierarchy. Because as I said, it's been well thought and well designed. And wherever it's being practically used, people are seeing the results. It's very good.
Very well. What was the biggest personal challenge for you to take up leadership in Bhakti-vriksha?
I don't remember any challenge like that, because even in my non-devotee life, we are always leaders. So it was very easy for personally if you are asking that question. But of course, yes, within the Bhakti-vriksha, when we ask somebody to take up the leadership, they develop cold feet in the beginning, everybody, like they say, no, Prabhu, you continue. Or this, especially when you are expanding and you want now somebody else to take over. Those are the challenges. But I didn't feel anything, I was very naturally into it.
How about you, Prabhuji?
Same here. I did not have any personal difficulties in taking up a leadership role. Came out quite natural when we were ready, and we were trained for it, because he was at least a pioneer, whereas I was a member of his Bhakti-vriksha, Subuddhi Prabhu's Bhakti-vriksha. So I was well trained, and I just took up the role very naturally.
And how your involvement affected your family? What was their reaction?
Again, I would say I was fortunate that the family was also Krishna conscious, is Krishna conscious. So they supported it fully, right from the day one till now. My wife is like a solid rock behind, everything I do. I'm in the front and she's in the background, but I always give her the credit. And like for example, I came to America for preaching. That was again a family decision. I was reluctant, but the day my son comes and says, Papa, you got such a nice opportunity to preach. Guru Maharaj asked you to preach. You love preaching. So just go for it, So family has been, but of course, yes, I have seen devotees struggling with the families, but with a lot of patience and commitment, and when that family sees that this person is doing the right things, slowly that resistance goes.
So would you not give the credit to the Bhakti-vriksha structure?
Of course, like that's as they were also simultaneously trained, because immediately we started implementing whatever training was there, and they could see, and when they see others also, progressing nicely in Krishna consciousness, so they naturally become more enthusiastic about, being part of it.
How about you, Prabhuji?
My family was into the Bhakti-vriksha from beginning, they took it up very naturally. My wife was very supportive. And most important thing is the children took up Krishna consciousness so nicely. They were members of the Bhakti-vriksha. Like you were asking about any gender or any age barriers. My children were Bhakti-vriksha members from the age of 3 years, 2 years, like that. So they took it up very so naturally that this Bhakti-vriksha structure helped in such a way that both my sons, my elder son Ananda Gauradas and the second one Charu Gaurangadas, they took Harinama Diksha.
What is one of the biggest personal realizations you gained during this service?
The biggest realization I would say is, bringing some souls, the satisfaction of bringing some souls to Krishna, because when they grow, ultimately take initiation and then second initiation and then they become preachers and all, then I feel very, very satisfied that I could do some service for Guru and Krishna.
Oh, great. How about you, Prabhuji? What is your realization?
Extreme ultimate happiness when we do the Bhakti-vriksha program. It is a Loka Kalyan project. So it benefits everybody, all the jivas. So we get a lot of personal satisfaction and a deep happiness, which we don't find in any other service. Personally, we do so many services, but when we conduct a Bhakti-vriksha program, somehow the happiness is very, very high.
Kindly share at least one story, an anecdote of a real transformation that happened in one of your Bhakti-vriksha members.
Very easy. Of course, one example is here, but anyway, I will not repeat that example. There was one family in Bangalore, and they somehow we came to know that they knew my aunt or somebody, and through them, through that relationship, they were looking for us and they found us. And then, of course, I invited them for the Bhakti-vriksha. At that time, the Prabhu, he was, his family was following Sai Baba and somebody, like that. They were confused a lot. Different things. I'm not saying anything. It's a personal choice, but they came for Bhakti-vriksha. I invited, come, see at least how we do it. So that family came, and then, they were naturally, as that happens for the first time, people sit in the back and just watch and so on. And then they became life member also immediately, And when we become life member, we give books. So I gave them the books set. And they said, his name Raju Sharma, he said, please give me one book out of this, because you give so many books, but tell me which one to read. So I just looked at the books and, I picked up Nectar of Devotion. Somehow, it came in my hand and I said, read this. And of course he chanted one round with everybody, japa session. And then in the next week when he comes, he says, since yesterday night I have started chanting 16 rounds.
Haribol, unbelievable.
And everybody was shocked. 1 to 16 in 1 week? How can that happen? He said, you gave me the book, and I started reading it very seriously, Nectar of Devotion. By the time I came to the 6th chapter, I decided that whatever I was doing was absolutely wrong, and I must become a Krishna devotee, and I must chant. And all that happened in just 1 week. And then he was working for a big company, Mahindra and Mahindra. They deputed him to Bombay. He was a sales manager. He was deputed for some training. So he comes to me and says, I don't know anything about Bombay. Can you recommend something? Where can I stay? I said, if your company is paying, he said, expense is not a problem. So I said, you go to Juhu temple and take a room there, company is paying anyway. So he goes there, and it happened to be, some festival or something, big rush, no rooms. So he called me from there and I said, nobody is allowing me any room, but I want to stay in temple, it's so nice. So I said, let me talk to Sridhar Maharaj. Sridhar Maharaj was the president at that time. I said, Maharaj is a sincere boy, can you help him? And Maharaj says, I can put him in the Brahmachari ashram. Is he ready to live there? So I asked this Raju, I said, he says, how? I would love to. And he goes there, and in the Brahmachari ashram, he stays there for 3 months. And he gets initiated by Sridhar Maharaj.
That's a great transformation. Amazing, really. Wonderful example. So my question to you, Prabhuji, is give some examples of material or spiritual help which your group members derived from the Bhakti-vriksha groups.
Every member in the Bhakti-vriksha used to get both material and spiritual help, and there was no differentiation as such that this is material and this is spiritual. As long as he was devotee and chanting, any help that was given to them, we were considering it as Vaishnava Seva. So we used to call it as a spiritual help only. There were examples where we supported a devotee who was sitting on the bench, a software engineer, who did not have a job. He had to go back to his country, but we maintained him for a couple of months until he got another job. Also, another devotee was sick and admitted to hospital for 3 or 4 days. Devotees took turns to stay with him overnight in the hospital, and families took turns to bring prasadam like breakfast, lunch and dinner, the housewives. So in this way, there were n number of examples we can give that how devotees came and supported. In outside world, it looks like it's a material help, but in a Bhakti-vriksha program structure, any help, even though apparently it looks like material, we are providing food, but here it is prasadam, and we are supporting a devotee in his trouble. It is more of a Vaishnava Seva, as I said. So it was everything spiritual. All the help given to the devotees was spiritual.
Amazing. Thank you very, 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 very much, Prabhujis. We had amazing time hearing your experiences, and I am sure the preachers in the world will gain a lot of knowledge, experience and illustrations, and they will be motivated to take up Bhakti-vriksha, learning from your examples. Thank you, Prabhujis. Hare Krishna.